Sarah clutched Marcus's arm as they stood before the towering Victorian mansion their grandmother had left them in her will. The house loomed against the crimson sky, its Gothic spires piercing the clouds like accusing fingers. Ivy choked the weathered stone walls, and broken shutters hung at drunken angles from the countless windows. Their moving truck seemed insignificant beside the structure, barely reaching the height of the first floor. Marcus squeezed her hand, trying to mask his own unease with a reassuring smile. The realtor had called it a steal, a family heirloom waiting for them to restore it to its former glory. But as the wind howled through the empty halls and the front door creaked open on its own, Sarah wondered if some treasures were meant to stay buried. The hallway stretched endlessly before them, swallowing the feeble light of their single candle. Dust motes danced in the air like tiny spirits, and the wallpaper curled away from the walls in long, brown strips. Family portraits lined the corridor, their painted eyes seeming to follow every step. Sarah's heels clicked against the warped wooden floorboards, each sound echoing as if the house were mocking their presence. Marcus set down their suitcase, the thud muffled by layers of accumulated grime. The air hung thick with the scent of decay and something else, something metallic that made Sarah's nose wrinkle. As they ventured deeper, a floorboard groaned somewhere above them, followed by the distinct sound of footsteps moving across the ceiling. The grand staircase curved upward like a serpent, its ornate banister carved with faces that seemed to twist and grimace in the candlelight. The red carpet had once been luxurious but now hung in tattered strips, revealing the dark wood beneath. Broken statues dotted the landing, their marble surfaces cracked and stained. Sarah paused at the base of the stairs, her breath visible in the suddenly cold air. Marcus urged her forward, his voice too loud in the oppressive silence. They climbed carefully, each step protesting with squeaks and groans that seemed to wake something deeper in the house. Halfway up, Sarah stopped, certain she had heard her name whispered from somewhere in the darkness above. The candle flame flickered wildly, casting dancing shadows that looked almost like hands reaching down toward them. Their grandmother's bedroom retained an air of faded elegance despite decades of neglect. The four-poster bed dominated the space, its canopy draped with cobwebs instead of fabric. Torn curtains fluttered at shattered windows, and moonlight streamed across the room in silver beams that revealed floating dust and scattered papers. Sarah approached the ornate vanity, its mirror cracked down the center like a lightning bolt. The scattered papers contained handwritten letters in their grandmother's familiar script, but the words seemed to shift and change when viewed directly. Marcus began unpacking their few belongings, trying to make the space feel more livable. Outside, the wind picked up, rattling the broken window panes and causing the curtains to billow inward like ghostly apparitions reaching for them in the night. The room was larger than it appeared from the doorway, its walls lined with covered furniture that seemed to watch them in the shifting light. The red glow came from symbols carved deep into the stone floor, their edges worn smooth but still pulsing with that strange inner light. Sarah stepped forward, her boots echoing on the cold stone. The symbols formed a circle, broken in places but still intact enough to make her uneasy. Brock moved to the far wall, his light revealing more of the carved marks that covered every surface. They weren't random scratches but deliberate patterns that seemed to tell a story she couldn't understand. The air grew warmer as they stood there, and the pulse of light beneath their feet quickened. Something was responding to their presence, something that had been waiting for a very long time. Sarah knelt beside the nearest symbol, her reflection catching in a dark pool that had gathered in the carved stone. The liquid was thick and black, unmoving despite her presence. Her face stared back at her, distorted by the uneven surface, and for a moment she thought she saw something else moving just beneath. She leaned closer, her breath fogging the air above the pool. The reflection shifted, showing not the basement but glimpses of something else entirely. A figure in white, standing in the same room but different somehow, older and filled with purpose. Brock called her name, his voice tight with warning, but she couldn't look away. The liquid stirred, sending ripples across her distorted reflection. The symbols flared brighter, and the air filled with a low humming sound that seemed to come from the walls themselves. Something was waking up, something that had been sleeping in the darkness for far too long. The moment her finger touched the black surface, the symbols blazed brighter, flooding the room with crimson light. Sarah gasped as images flashed through her mind, her mother standing in this very room, younger but unmistakably her. The visions came faster now, overlapping, her mother speaking in hushed tones, placing something beneath the floorboards, sealing it away. A warning. A promise. The liquid began to ripple, and Sarah pulled her hand back, breathless. She wasn't meant to find this place, not yet. But she had. The furniture wasn't old. It was waiting. Each piece hummed with the same energy as the floor, as if part of the same ritual. Sarah turned slowly, understanding dawning in her chest. Her mother hadn't just hidden something here, she had bound it. And now, by touching the seal, Sarah had begun to unravel what was meant to stay buried. A low hum filled the air, growing louder, more urgent. The covers on the furniture began to tremble. The sheets fell like snow, silent and heavy. Beneath them, the furniture gleamed faintly, untouched by time. Sarah stepped backward, her heart pounding. The hum became a chant, wordless but familiar, like a lullaby her mother used to hum. The wardrobe doors creaked open on their own, revealing nothing but darkness within. But she knew what it held. Not a thing. A presence. One that had been waiting for her. She didn't know how she knew, but she did. This was where it ended. Where it had always been meant to. Sarah reached into the wardrobe, not afraid anymore. The darkness curled around her wrist, cold and searching, but she held firm. "I'm here," she whispered, and the room exhaled. The symbols flared one last time, then went dark. The wardrobe doors slammed shut. Silence followed. When she opened her eyes, the air was still. The symbols were just stone, the wardrobe just wood. Whatever had waited in the dark was gone, released or returned, she didn't know. She felt lighter, as if something she'd carried without knowing had finally been set down. Above, the floorboards creaked softly. Time moved again. Sarah stood, brushed off her clothes, and walked toward the stairs. Outside, the world waited. And for the first time in years, she was ready to meet it.